Hi you! This video is going to be about all of the things that I've learned in the first 2 months in business as a female entrepreneur and full-time potter. For those of you that don't know, I'm doing a pottery residency for a year in Door County, Wisconsin in this pottery gallery, which is also right behind me. And I'm learning so much about myself, about pottery production, about business, about my expenses, about pricing, and I just wanted to share these things with you. Hopefully it's helpful, hopefully it's enjoyable, and thanks for supporting me all throughout this journey. It seriously meant a lot because sometimes your girl gets stressed. Without further ado, these are the things that I've learned in my first 2 months in business. Look at these cracks. Ugh, aren't they gorgeous? They are so pretty. And as much as I want to just spend all of my time on pottery because it's just what I enjoy and love so much, if you ignore the business side of things, the bookkeeping side of things, the marketing side of things, nothing will come of my art. Nothing will become of my art career if I just hide alone in a basement and create stuff, even though sometimes that's really all I want to do. So to start, I just want to talk about pacing. Pacing as an overarching theme. You need to time block, you need to look at things, you need to address the finances, you need to handle all the categories. And yeah, that can be really time consuming, very overwhelming, and I used to just operate with this extremely chaotic mindset of like, you don't have time, you need to do stuff as fast as possible. And when I have that mindset that I don't have time, I did nothing well, I did nothing present, I was stressed out, I was getting burned out super fast, and I honestly wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing very well because I was always focused on the next things that needed to get done. You do have time. Calming down, taking a breath, being focused and fully present on the one task that I had at hand, and it ended up helping me not get burnt out, being totally present in that thing, doing it well, doing it faster, and being able to move on to the next thing. Doing time blocking and making lists and figuring out your priorities are super important. It's what's helped me a bunch. So I take sticky notes and I write down everything that needs to happen for pottery, everything that needs to happen for the gallery, everything that needs to happen for YouTube, Instagram, finances, expenses, and then all of those little sticky notes I put in order of priority, like literally on my table, just like stuck in priority, so that I know what I need to handle. And I don't know about you, but I can really lose track of time, like easily, especially in the morning. I've started getting up early so I can have more time in the day to do what I need to do. But in the morning, I like take my time, make my coffee, go on my phone, and then all of a sudden 3 hours have passed. So what's helped me is setting timers every hour, specifically in the morning because it's when I need it. So I know when it becomes 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and it just helps me time block that morning to have like an hour for one of those tasks. And it really helps me get everything that I need to get done. So a summary, you do have time. Make a priority list of everything you need to do. Time block those things and set a timer every hour to help you keep track of your time so you don't lose it. It can run away. Pricing. If you are someone who sells your work, or if you sell yourself, like if you're a performer or if you're in selling yourself kind of sounds funny, but my mom is a public speaker and she puts a price on performing, on her thoughts, on her talking, and you have to price yourself. And when you sell your work, it kind of feels like pricing a little part of you and your ability and your skill. And it's hard psychologically sometimes. And I just want to share that I get that. I went through a guilty phase of not wanting to even put an appropriate or any price on my work because I felt guilty, because I was not financially stable. So I was projecting my financial instability on my customer and feeling bad that they probably couldn't afford it. When you're starting to price, just understand that it is an exchange of value. So you are not tricking them, you're not gypping them out of anything, and if they could not afford it or if it hurt them to buy it, they wouldn't buy it. And that's not your responsibility. So please stop projecting your own psychology of money onto them By the way, also, The Psychology of Money is a good book if you want to kind of work through that little mindset a little bit more by yourself. Know that you are providing value to them and that they're really excited to receive it. Well, join me on the floor. This is just kind of where I'll merchandise, set stuff up, price stuff at this little counter. And another thing that helped me with pricing, if you're completely starting from scratch, it's really hard to get a baseline, and there's a lot of things to factor into it, like the amount of money you spend on materials, the amount of time you spend on it, your age and experience. My pottery is not as expensive as a well-known, well-renowned, older, experienced potter, obviously. So you kind of got to take that into consideration. Like when I first graduated college, I was a college grad. My prices kind of reflected that, and they're higher now than they were because I have more experience. So if you're starting from scratch, I would recommend first to time how long it takes you with a specific piece, and then kind of estimate and figure out your desired price per hour. So for me, I do not work for less than $25 an hour, and with teaching pottery, it's the same thing. It's just something that I have decided for myself. I don't work for less than $25 an hour, and my prices reflect that. Number two, figure out how much you're spending on all of your clay, all of your glazes, all your materials, all the equipment, blah, blah, blah. Awareness. You have to know where you're at and how much you're investing into your business so that you're not operating at a loss. You also have to factor in supply and demand. So if your work is high in demand and you're selling out immediately, you need to raise your prices in order for you to have the sustainability to keep producing and keep working. If your demand is super low, you might want to consider lowering your prices so that you can get a little leg up and start getting in the sales process. And if you really don't know where to price your work in the area that you're in, I highly recommend looking at other artists and other people in your field, other potters, whatever, in the area, and looking at their prices, analyzing what they're doing, who they are, how far they are in their career, and then kind of internalizing that for your situation, who you are, your work, kind of basing it off that so that you're appropriate for the people around you in a similar field. This is not something that like I've heard from anyone else, but I have a baseline kind of foundational reference. So a mug, one of my best mugs. It took a pretty decent amount of time to make. It's got some really good detail. There's something about it that was a little extra. That is what I call my $50 mug. A $50 mug is like it's a perfect, beautiful, exquisite mug. I know roughly how much time it took to do it, how much material is in there, and what kind of effort goes into that perfect, very unique mug. And then sometimes I will base other items off of that baseline in terms of time, effort, all that kind of stuff, and I base it off of that $50 range. So then, you know, certain things are like $35 or $25, some things are $75 or whatever, based on that reference in my mind of how much effort went into a $50 mug. Tip number 4, 5, I'm not good at counting, but watermelon with tahini? So good. Connecting with people, I know. Sales is really just about getting to know them and letting them get to know you, especially if you're an artist. They like to know about you and your process, and getting to know the person who made the piece makes the piece a lot more interesting. So if you feel kind of awkward talking with people or you don't know really like what to do, ask about them. Where are they coming from? Are they a potter themselves? Are they an artist? What is their favorite color scheme? Anything really. Just ask about them. Have that genuine, playful, kind of childlike curiosity. People really love to talk about themselves. I know I do. If someone asks about me, I'm like, oh, I'll tell you everything. So it's okay. Just ask questions and don't be desperate. Also, that being said, some people just don't want to talk. They just want to browse. Sometimes I just want to look around a store and not really talk to someone. So just kind of read the room, you know, feel the energy, feel the vibes. My watermelon's gone. Display, inventory, how you're structuring the experience for the customer. This is very important because you don't want the store to look chaotic and clustered. You don't know what to look at. Of course, you want a good variety and diversity of work, which I actually have really found the importance of having diversity because there's kind of a little something for everyone. But my point is, more doesn't always mean better. You want to kind of curate and tell a story. So let's say if you have things all to do with kitchen utensils, like your kitchen utensil holder, soap holder, different types of things for the kitchen, have those grouped together and also have it coordinated by color to kind of structure an environment to show them what it's going to look like in their house. So props also help, having soap bars, having like matcha whisks and actual utensils and things like that really offers a nice little experience for them. Now you might have already known that, but something that you didn't know is info cards. I have had so many compliments on my info cards, and I'll go show you some of them. Info cards can be so incredibly helpful for both the experience, the knowledge, and just like the general customer experience. I'm gonna show you some examples. Sodium silicate, that's what these pots are made out of, and a lot of people don't know that, so it's fun for them to know about the process. Olive oil card. A large portion of this kiln load is spoon rests because for an entire day I only made spoon rests. Production and keeping track of your time to produce as much as you possibly can within reason is extremely important. Now, what helps me as I'm getting into this like production pottery schedule and mindset, as someone who's in a production style business, I need to make things with these two hands for people to buy in order to support myself, right? This is really helpful. Pick one thing. Write down obviously all the categories you need to make, and then each day pick one thing. One thing! And I'm saying this very like fervently because I'm kind of yelling at myself, because it's very easy for me to pick like 8 things in a day and make one of each and 2 over here and 1 mug and 1 vase and 1 fish and then a ring dish and then just like experiment and be having so much fun. And listen, I do love pottery all the time. So it's not that I'm not having fun when I'm making the same thing all day, but it is something that I have to intentionally yell at myself and tell myself to focus on one thing, because if I don't, I'll have like only 2 or 3 of a million different things. And that's not good for a store. You need repetition. Bookkeeping, expenses, income. You gotta track it, girl. You gotta track it. And I know it can be overwhelming, but it does not make it any less overwhelming to ignore it. Seriously, just start to track your expenses. Just start to write them down. You can use a Google Sheets, you could use a Google Doc, you could use a pen and paper. I also use QuickBooks for all of my business expenses. I highly recommend QuickBooks because it makes it super easy to do taxes and like have them kept track of and all that jazz. I also keep track of my personal monthly expenses just so that I know how much I'm spending. And when I started doing this, I figured out that I was actually paying for 2 premium Spotify accounts when I didn't even know I had to. There are so many subscriptions and things that people are just like, oh, I want to ignore my expenses because it stresses me out. But then there's things that you don't know you're paying for, and you could be saving money. Money saved is money earned. Somebody told me that, and I really appreciated it because it gave me a new perspective on addressing my expenses. And lastly, for my income, I just keep all of my pay stubs in a folder. I get paid through Square, which I get from selling my pieces. I get paid once a month, and it's just very important to keep track of that. Know what you're earning, know what you're spending. It's all about awareness. Highly, highly encourage you to do so. So for a summary, we have: please, for the love of God, keep track of your expenses, both personal and for business. I use QuickBooks. You can put it in a Sheets or on a piece of paper. Keep track of both personal and business expenses and income. Just keep track, babe. Put it in a folder. That's all we gotta say. My alarm! I have to open up the gallery. I have customers. Hi, welcome in. I had some customers and it was totally worth it because they were awesome people and I made some sales. Woo. You can't pour from an empty cup. You cannot spread yourself too thin and burn out yourself and take any time to relax and then expect yourself to still be as sharp and producing as good of products and being there for the people in your life as well as you want to be when you're burning yourself out. So obviously I am learning to really time block and schedule things for myself as well as my business. And I found that that is super, super important. I like the analogy that if you don't take time to step away to sharpen your axe, then chopping down trees is going to take 10 times longer and you'll just be less effective, as opposed to if you worked hard for 8 hours, rested, sharpened your axe, your metaphorical axe of your life and your body and your mind, and hopped back in. So I like to tell myself, like, work hard, rest hard. I rest so hard. I'm so good at sleeping. I sleep hard as heck. And that's important for me. And burnout is no joke. Don't get burned out. Every time you do what you say you're gonna do is a vote of confidence into the person that you are becoming. Every dollar spent wisely in your business is an investment in your future. Every skill learned is an investment in the future you and who you're becoming. Almost messed up this beautiful cup. So to recap, friends, I've learned a bunch with pacing and telling myself I do have time, scheduling, time blocking. I've learned a lot and gotten better with my pricing, and I hope that maybe what I've learned can help you with your pricing. I've learned a lot with sales, interacting with customers, keeping track of my expenses, my income, bookkeeping, just being aware of those things. The inventory, production, making the pottery, setting it up to create a positive experience for the buyer has all been really recent and solid things that I've learned the past 2 months, and I'm really excited to take these forward. I am hoping to be able to open up my own pottery studio within the next 2 years or so, and it's definitely scary and overwhelming, and it feels just like, oh my gosh, how can I possibly learn all this and make it happen when I didn't go to business school, I didn't go to entrepreneur school. No one ever told me how to figure this stuff out. But you figure it out one step at a time, and I'm just kind of trusting the process of that, accepting that failure is a part of that, and documenting it and sharing it with you so that it can solidify my own thoughts and also maybe help someone else. So if you're on a similar journey like me, I want to encourage you to just keep trying. Do one tiny thing at a time, take one tiny step at a time, and trust that going through the process will teach you what you need to know. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the community. If you're not already, you should definitely subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff and see where I go. Hopefully I don't fail miserably, but you'll be there to see the whole journey. And we'll see you next time.